Hey, what's up, everybody? My longtime viewers know this, but they're actually let me get quite a few new people in the door before making me invisible again. But I've been focusing most of my time recently on videos, so you new guys seeing a lot of videos come out right now. That's because I'm working on videos and fixing up my house a little bit, but it's usually the opposite way around. I'm a contractor. I do this for a living, and the jobs are always my main priority when I've got somebody's house torn apart. So the videos will definitely slow down. I'm starting a kitchen this week. I'd probably already be going on it, but it's 100 degrees outside and I don't feel like messing with it. It'll still be there next week when it's 80 degrees. But I'm getting busy again, and that means the videos will slow down. Sorry. Anyway, this is another subject that is just like where to begin. I guess let's start with the idea that petroglyphs all around the world show the same things because they were all seeing the same things. Plasma events up in the sky. The top left image is lab-created plasma. And if you search Squatter Man petroglyph, then you'll find all of this stuff. But that's just a 2D representation of what they were seeing up in the sky. And all of these ancient cultures tried to preserve this memory through various forms, like totem pole could possibly be from this. Even the Muslim crescent moon, which I believe is the most widely used symbol for a flag in the world. But just think if this happened today, it would be the most memorable thing for generations and generations to come. Another popular motif is the spiral. These are in the American Southwest, and then jump over to, I believe, Ireland or England, and you have Ireland, you have all these. And if you've never heard of it, in 2009 we had the Norwegian spiral. This is an actual photograph of what they were seeing. And I think they finally came up with some explanation for it, but at the time nobody had an answer for what this was. But these are found carved and painted into stone all around the world, even down on the bottom left there, that hashtag grid. That's Ireland, and this is Anza Borrego in Southern California. I've been out to these petroglyphs. You've got the same diamond pattern. And they actually date these to the 1300s event as to where the Gaelic ones were like 2000 BC or something. These you basically drive up to. These took me a few hours to find. And wait till you see what's on the other side behind you while you're looking at this. So they've got 4 or 5 bright suns here. So I would take that as an indication that this is aerial stuff that we're looking at, right? But they've got the blue sun, like the blue, Hopi blue Kachina. And this is a blue Kachina doll based off of the Kachina dancers. They have songs and dancers and ceremonies commemorating all of this stuff. Now look at the ancient Sumerian, the ancient Egyptian. It's all the same thing. But I do believe that all came from ancient times as to where Anza Borrego was in the 1300s. While they were taking cover in this cave, watching all this in the sky, others were taking cover up in the cliffs of Mesa Verde. But you're seeing these on one side of the cave, and it's kind of painted all up overhead. But when you turn around and you're facing out, then you see all the googly-eyed monsters. I think they've mainly got 3 fingers, and I don't know. This could be aliens landing and getting out, but I think this was all atmospheric phenomena. Now, going back to the Squatter Man motif for a minute, the Dogon tribe over in Africa are renowned for their astronomical knowledge. They knew that the star Sirius was a binary star system, and there's Sirius A and Sirius B way before Western science caught up, but his headdress is the Squatter Man. And somebody's going to have to back me up on this. Either I'm crazy, or this is a Mandela, or they erased it. Does anybody remember the Dogon tablets? There used to be several videos on YouTube about this, and I remember looking it up one time. There were tens of thousands of clay tablets, like they look like plates, made out of baked clay with an unknown script on there. Does anybody else remember this, or am I just crazy here? Anyway, all these traditions go back to the beginning of our world age, to the earliest of our religions. Because what happened when everybody converted to Christianity? Did they just tear down all the old temples and build brand new churches. No. The people that already ran religions ran the new religion. That's why the Church of Rome prays to the saints and Mother Mary. They're carrying on old pagan traditions. Here's some more googly eye monsters from Puerto Rico. And I feel like I'm all over the place, but it's just one of those things. You look at everything and a pattern starts to form. Here, it looks like a 6-finger hand, and it could have been from a 6-finger giant. I don't know, but the hand motif is another common one, and there's a lot of variations on this form, like Medusa with all the snakes on her head, and she has her tongue coming out, and that could be plasma between planets, we'll get to in a second. But the bull of heaven and all of these symbols that the ancients used, it's just a new way of looking at them. So let's talk about planetary plasma and the cosmic thunderbolt. I think first you need to understand the electric universe theory a little bit, to where all of these luminaries in the sky hold electrical charges. And I personally think that something came in from the outside that upset the balance of everything. So once again, let me just throw everything at you. You've got Zeus and his cosmic thunderbolt in the Greek. He's aiming it at a serpent in the shape of the infinity symbol, like the Egyptian Apophis, the god killer, destroyer of worlds. Zeus is the god Jupiter. Now in the Inca, you've got the god Viracocha, who is Jupiter, and he is depicted as wearing a crown of the sun on his head, which is really similar to Medusa, and he's holding lightning bolts in his hand and raining from his eyes. And we see the serpent symbolizing lightning, which really makes you wonder what's going on here. And then in Norse mythology, you've got Odin, the one-eyed representation of Jupiter again, and he's holding the cosmic thunderbolt. So Greek, Incan, Norse, and even Sumerian mythology all relate Jupiter to this cosmic lightning. At least that's what I was thinking, and now I've got a problem. I recorded all that yesterday, and then last night I rewatched Symbols of an Alien Sky. So the Greeks, that's definitely Jupiter. Viracocha, I was saying, is a representative of Jupiter based off of William Sullivan's work with the Inca, but he's not widely known for representing Jupiter. Also, Odin isn't supposed to represent Jupiter, though with our current state of things, it makes sense with the eye of Jupiter, but there's a different explanation for the eye. The theory that Thunderbolt's project has, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I don't have enough information to hazard a guess here. But they say originally the planets were in a straight line, and what you're looking at is Saturn in the background, Venus in front of that, with Mars right in the center, the red dot. This would be a view from the side where you see Mars in front, Venus, Saturn way off to the right, all in a straight line. So the oldest Greek mythology has the time of the Titans and Kronos, before the time of the Olympians. He was also called Helios, the sun. Also, an archaic name in Latin for Saturn was Sol, which we now use for the sun. And the alchemists referred to Saturn as the best sun. So the theory here is that Saturn used to be much closer, and it was our main source of light. And the cosmic wheel that can be found all around the world is a representation of that alignment. So, like I said, I don't know if that's right, but I can't prove it wrong. And also, this is the basis for all of the Saturn worship. And I think I want to go through these formations first before getting into that. So, their theory is that something started coming in and illuminating one side of Saturn, and that's the basis of the crescent moon and star. And then that formation started getting pulled out of alignment, and I'm thinking this is over the course of years, I mean, who knows, generations, for there to be artwork of each of these stages, but, it could have happened fast. But there's the hand once again, and this is found in cultures around the world. And they've got 20 more photos like this. I'm not going to go through all of them, but it's everywhere. And then this one's kind of a trip. You ever wonder why kings wear crowns and Native Americans wear elaborate headdresses? Could this have all come from the king or the chief being the people's representative to the gods? And they're just emulating what the gods were doing? I don't want to go too deep into the psychology of the ancients, but they all believed that they were from the stars, literally, and that they would return there when they died. The Dogon still believe this, but could all of this crazy headdress that we see be from the changing gods up in the sky? This actually describes all the crazy different headdresses of the Egyptians, the side lock, and that would indicate that it's taken place over generations, because these would come into style and they'd move on to the next thing. Even the Phrygian cap, I mean, it's pretty crazy. Even our modern Santa Claus style beanies, the king's crown, and then the jester cap with all of that in chaos. Just throwing it all out there. Then you had Birkeland currents, plasma between the planets. Another version of the cosmic thunderbolt. And you don't hear too much about this in history class. The space between the two planets lights up and is set aflame by both planets and produces a train of fire. Seneca. Pliny writes, heavenly fire is spit forth by the planet as crackling charcoal flies from a burning log. And archaic traditions say that these bolts come from the planet Saturn, just as the inflammatory ones come from Mars. So as these large plasma streams start coming down, you have things like the Pillar of the Gods, the Flower of Life, and I'm sure everybody's noticed all of the old statues with their tongues sticking out. These are all just different forms that this is taking as it's being thrown out of whack. Is this why bulls are sacred to the Hindus and the Egyptians used to have the Apis cult? And I would say something like this is exactly where we get the all-seeing eye from. You can even use various geometric shapes along with it, which is where you get the triangle and the square and compass from. And let's just do a little general world history of the last few hundred years and those secret brotherhoods and all of that. I can almost guarantee you they all know all of this stuff. And these were people like the Masons and the artists and everything, and the church was suppressing and taking over the whole narrative of our past. So, like the Renaissance painters, here we've got, this is called the birth of Venus. And they're using the shell as a symbolic representation of a time before Venus was in its current orbit. The old alchemists knew this, Priory of Sion, Knights Templar, and as the Jesuits got more and more land, power, towns, money, they had to keep all this on the DL. See, we're in a completely different paradigm now, because now we've had a couple hundred years of their influence on the world as well. But 300 years ago, the church was running the show. And what about the knights and their search for the Holy Grail? Could the Grail be the true knowledge of our past? And I have no doubt that this is the basis for Saturn worship. It's kind of a long topic to get into, but going back to Odin and his one eye, maybe that's what it represents, is the primordial all-seeing eye. And notice how he's wearing the sun as a necklace, just swinging around. And another thing, notice how his horse is hobbled. It's a horse with 8 legs, but it's hobbled in this depiction. So check this out. Saturnalia, the precursor to our modern Christmas, was celebrated around the winter solstice. And during this, master would become servant and they'd pick a king for a day. And it's all remembering the golden years, the golden age, when they say here no distinction was made. Everybody was equal, and everybody knows this is the history. And there would be a lot of drinking, and one thing would lead to another. But here's the weird part I wanted to show you is the statue to Saturn is traditionally tied and bound with woolen bonds. And during Saturnalia, these bonds were loosened to symbolize the god's liberation. I don't know, it just all fits way too conveniently to not have some truth to it. Okay, last thing, real quick. What is space anyway? I used to be a huge space nerd, couldn't get enough of it, and then I found out it's all just theoretical physics and simulations where the universe has to be 95% dark matter to add up to their calculations, and they're constantly changing everything. A recent paper said that, oh, well, the universe isn't expanding, it's just an illusion. And things like what we're looking at don't really exist in the visible spectrum. It is gas clouds out there, but it's not all these colors. They're able to detect this stuff through different radio wavelengths and different methods. But there's big time problems with our general understanding of space, what we've been taught our whole lives. One big one is there's no substance that you can burn to get a white light. White light puts off every wavelength of the visible spectrum, and you can't get that from burning anything, especially burning just hydrogen, which is what our sun is supposed to be. Electric Universe offers a different theory on that, and just to quote some of that, stars on the main sequence may be characterized as self-regulating cosmic power transformers that focus diffuse galactic electrical energy to catalyze fusion in their photospheres to provide the radiant energy. Like the sun, such stars derive their luminosity from the very bright anode tufts in their plasma sheaths. That's obviously not me writing that. That's actual astrophysicists that have woken up and said, okay, look, we're wasting our time with a concept that gets more and more complicated as time goes on, because that's what's going on with the traditional model, where the electric universe simplifies everything. And it confirms what I've always thought about gravity just being the electrical bond between atoms. The bigger the mass, the more the bond. So it's a long, in-depth subject that you're more than welcome to go listen to people smarter than me talk about. But the simplified version of that is that all the planetary bodies, everything holds electrical charges. Therefore, there are potential differences between those electrical charges. And if something like a comet or whatever comes in, it disrupts the electrical fields. Now, obviously, every comet that comes by doesn't shoot sparks out everywhere. So it could depend on its size, what it's made of. But right now we have seemingly a balanced solar system going on. You know, there's no disruptions up in the skies for us. But was it really like that, you know, even 10,000 years ago? Anyway, there's a lot to it, so that's enough for now. You know, because then you factor in geomagnetic reversals and what's going on with solar cycles and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Static out.